You having a huge party?
Nope, just me.
Get delicious cuisine from the country's best chefs, delivered right to your door with the click of a button.
What's up, everybody? This is none other than Blake Anthony right here on NSPN, my show, Sports Top 49. Today, we're going to discuss two things. We're going to discuss the Houston Texans firing former Buccaneers head coach and Lovie Smith, as well as talk about Alvin Kamera and that Pro Bowl, or lack thereof. But first and foremost, none of this happens without Chef to You. I'm proud to make sure to check them out. Download their application on Apple iOS and Android iOS. And if you want your food hot and ready to go once it comes to your house, instead of ordering it and let it be cold, why not go to Chef to You? If you're one of those guys who want to sit at home and be comfortable and have some good food in front of you when you're with your significant other, make sure you check that out. Also, check out mycannabiscard.com, My Cannabis Clinics of America. Be sure to check those out as well. And without further ado, guerrilla marketing. Now, without that out the way, let's roll into what they had to say, and we'll kind of jump back and forth with all the news coming out and everything. I kind of just want to play these clips and then talk about them, so we got a good contrast of what I'm talking about and what's going on, and we can just go, give good content with that. So first off, we're going to start off with the Houston Texans hiring Lovie Smith, who was their defensive coordinator last year. Let's see what they had to say, and then we'll talk about it.
Now, just the New Orleans Saints left to find a new head coach, as 8 other NFL teams are expected to hire some guys. Some of that's still being worked out as we welcome in Jeff Darlington. Let's get to the latest, Jeff. What can you tell us about a couple of these job openings? Let's begin with the Texans that have now been filled.
Well, yeah, Lovie Smith, now the head coach of the Houston Texans, perhaps not exactly as the Texans had drawn it up, but ultimately they understand that everybody in the building respects Lovie Smith, and that is, as a matter of fact, that is the truth here. Now, the bigger question is, why wasn't Lovie Smith always on their prospects of potential head coaches? This did just pop out of nowhere, and ultimately I think the Texans looked at where they were at, however they got there, and said, what are our best options right now? They felt like Lovie Smith, someone who they're familiar with, was ultimately that guy. Whether you like it or not, Lovie Smith, the head coach of the Houston Texans.
All right, so let's start there. Marcus, what was your reaction to the Lovie Smith hire?
I was super surprised at the hire, and obviously what Jeff just alluded to about it kind of being out of left field. I'm happy Lovie is getting his opportunity, but as I've said about the Texans' job all along, I would love to know the contract and how it reads, and what the plan is for this organization going forward. Last year, you hired David Culley as a stopgap for whatever plan, and that gives me a little bit of an issue as well. You had a whole damn year to determine what candidates you would go after to be your head coach. Obviously, Culley wasn't a long-term plan, and it feels that way about Lovie Smith. The other side of that is I'm happy Lovie Smith gets an opportunity to be a head coach once again, to prove himself to everybody else around the league, as if he needed proving himself based on all of the success that he's had. So that's where I am. I'm almost hot and cold. I'm glad a black coach got hired as a head coach, but I'm not going to disbar the situation in which he's hired in, and a franchise that seems to have no clear direction on what they want to be or where they want to go.
Yeah, I share Marcus's skepticism, and I think it's completely fair given both the process, or lack thereof, given what Jeff just described, which it wasn't like they said Lovie Smith is a candidate from the beginning and showed any commitment to him early on. And then, of course, the fact that we're talking about the Houston Texans, an organization that's been, frankly, pretty dysfunctional for some time now. Marcus, I also agree with you about examining what their commitment is to Lovie Smith. You know, one of
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube.
Okay, so there's a lot to divulge from that there. First and foremost, again, a lot of people, I'm one of them that think Lovie Smith got a raw deal out here in Tampa. Yeah, you can say he didn't win 8-24 record out here. Was relieved of duties for offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter, who obviously couldn't hold this team together and said at times in press conferences that he had no idea how to make changes. And rightfully so, you weren't the man for the job. You had success early based on what this man had did the couple of years prior. Him and Jason Light had done years prior, but you weren't a guy that was going to be able to maintain or elevate that team to another level. That being said, I think it's just that Lovie Smith got the job. Unfortunately, we're talking about it's Black History Month and everything. Unfortunately, those are the kind of jobs black head coaches get. If you're asking what do I mean by that? I mean by you can only get jobs where the place is dismantled and dysfunctional. Example, Brian Flores. Regardless how you feel about it, Brian Flores took over an absolute in the toilet team of Miami Dolphins. Was a defensive guy, helped build that defense there. Wasn't able to get the quarterback he wanted, not because of him, because of the owner or the GM wanted Tua instead of Herbert. We all know how that story turned out. Herbert's rookie offensive player of the year. And now you have this thing about being paid to lose games and all that, but he didn't bring a losing culture to Miami. Miami was actually a respectable team after starting off so poorly, and that team ended up believing in your head coach and ended up winning 9 games at the end of the year and just missing the playoffs. That's a step in the right direction. When all things were going bad, that head coach was able to get those players motivated and getting them to win 9 straight games. And then you're going to kill the total team around. You're going to have this new head coach come in here that these guys aren't going to respect because they feel like the team has done them wrong by getting rid of the guy that they started to believe in and who believed in them to bring in another guy. Granted, it's not his fault that he's gotten this job, granted, but it's going to be hard to try to sell yourself to this team after being all the situations of what's happened and what's transpired over those months with all this going on. Then you hear Brian Flores' story about interviews and things like that. It's going to be very trying and to see what's going on out there. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen out there in Miami with a new addition of a head coach to a bunch of guys that he had nothing to do with, or no kind of continuity out there in Miami. Houston, I think those guys will play hard for Lovie. Lovie's going to have to work really hard with his GM and figure out what kind of guys they want. I know Lovie's known for defense. Hopefully he's going to have the offensive support so he doesn't have to focus so much on the offense because that's not his forte. He's going to focus on that defense. He's going to be competitive, at least on one side of the ball, if the offense struggles. And that's the only thing that you need in this kind of situation. You need some kind of identity, on your team, whether it's, they're a running team, they're a heavy scoring team. These guys stuff the run. They play the pass really well, or play defense really well. I think Lovie Smith is going to try to find some type of identity for the Houston Texans. And like Marcus said, I would love to see what the contract deal was, because if it's just a stopgap to be, okay, he got us in the right direction, let's cast him aside and then bring in this new guy and then claim him the hero. A lot of people in Tampa Bay are upset with that because of what Tony Dungy built with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then i.e. add John Gruden and win the Super Bowl. Now, granted, in that situation, I tend to argue that because John Gruden did bring the offense that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers needed, because their defense were so strong and so tough that these guys, that they were able to not score a lot of points and still win games, or have turnover games and still win, because your defense was able to get the ball back and help this offense put points up on the board, put them in easier situations for them to score. So with the Houston Texans hiring Lovie Smith, I think is a very good move. I know it wasn't their first choice, and Lovie probably was their last option, and that's what it was. So we'll just have to see what happens in this situation. If Lovie Smith has early success, struggles a little bit, where they want to go with it. But I want to see if the Texans support him since they hired their own. He was their D coordinator last year, and the Texans were in a lot of tough games last year, unable to put some points up and unable to get good stops when they needed it. So it was a turmoil all across the team because this prior management of this team earlier kind of set these guys up for failure in the future. They have to hold on to all the draft picks. They have to make smart choices in free agency, not to overpay to have these guys come here and get subpar performances. You have to get their guys to believe in the system and to move this team in another direction. It's probably going to have to start at quarterback. So we'll see what they do. It's going to be really interesting and fun to look at. That's why we watch the game. That's why we watch football. And that's why you watch Sports Talk 49 right here on NSPN. Second topic. Again, Marcus Spears is shocked in here about the Pro Bowl. Let's just talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl before we talk about Alvin Kamera. Matter of fact, we'll take a quick break by Chef to You, and then we'll come back and talk about Alvin Kamera and the Pro Bowl. Check this out.
You having a huge party?
Nope, just me.
Get delicious cuisine from the country's best chefs delivered right to your door with the click of a button.
Welcome back. As promised, we're going to talk about Alvin Kamara and this Pro Bowl. First things first, the Pro Bowl. I think Deion said it best. It was an honor to play in these games. I think a lot of these guys in the future, his future, have taken things for granted. Yeah, you don't want to get hurt. Yeah, you don't want to get banged up. When people come out there to see them, the people got votes and things for that, for you guys to come out there and play and perform in front of them. Because some of these people don't have an opportunity to see none of you guys in their lifetime or in a regular season year. So when they come out there to see you guys perform, they really look forward to it. I'm not saying you got to go out there and try to kill each other, but you guys should have a little bit more integrity to play these games, or just play it in another way. Flag football, whatever it is. But some of the performances that you saw out there for that Pro Bowl game was underwhelming by far. I think if you would have put the Senior Bowl out there, it would have been much more entertaining than some of the Pro Bowl performances you got. Yes, Tampa Bay fans are happy Antoine Winfield had a pick six. Mike Evans had a nice jump ball 50-50 ball over a guy who's been on the show and who's a friend of this network and show, and Denzel Perryman, who made his first Pro Bowl, who was right here when nobody cared about Denzel Perryman and told everybody that he was going to come prove a deal. He's going to put him on the field. He's going to show you what to do, show you what he's going to do. And that's exactly what he did. Was that point the league's leading tackler and lead the Raiders to lead the Raiders to the playoffs, and is playing in the Pro Bowl. So it was really satisfying to see that he was right here on this network, said what he was going to do, and then went out there and actually did it. Much kudos to you. Looking forward to hearing from you again. But the Pro Bowl, this stuff got to change. It's got to change. It's got to be at least a little bit more competitive. What do you guys think? Now, let's move on to comments about Alvin Kamara and what's going on out there in Vegas and what I know. Because Lord knows I know a lot what's going on, especially in New Orleans. I got, people on the ground out there behind the scenes and stuff like that, and then them hiring their head coach and Dennis Allen, defensive coordinator. So let's hear what they got to say about Alvin Kamara, and then we'll talk about it right here. 1 second.
News coming out of Las Vegas today. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department saying that they do have video surveillance that does show Alvin Kamara involved in this fight that occurred Saturday early morning, and then it was the next day after the Pro Bowl that police met him at the stadium and ultimately took him into custody. This was a situation where Alvin Kamara was seen on this surveillance punching a man approximately 8 times before Kamara's friends then proceeded to stomp on him several more times. This all according to the police department and according to the video surveillance that they claim to have. So tough news for Alvin Kamara, and certainly the New Orleans Saints as they try to look into this matter. No one has commented from Kamara's side or from the Saints side at this point.
Yeah, we'll continue to gather information there. Thanks to Jeff. Coming up next on NFL Live with the Super Bowl this week.
Okay, Dennis Allen is suspected to be hired as the heir apparent to former head coach and Sean Payton, who will probably likely take the job from Mike McCarthy because he can't seem to move teams forward into the playoffs. With that being said, Dennis Allen, those that know me know I got good connections in New Orleans. And what I know about Dennis Allen, this is from players on that team, that he is a guy that breaks down film and finds ways to be very competitive and take away things that the teams that they're playing against like to do. Comes up with great game plans, looks at every attention to detail there is possible, and try to put his players in winning positions and draft players that fit his scheme and have that skill set to do that. And those are from players that I've spoken to off the record. From what I know, there's a lot of issues going on in New Orleans from the top on down. There was rumors Dennis Allen really didn't want the head coaching job in New Orleans. He wanted to go elsewhere. So I'm interested to see what this deal looks like in New Orleans. I actually just kind of looked over on my phone, got a text actually from one of the guys in New Orleans. I'm not going to read it on here on air, but I'll check it out later. There's a lot going on behind the scenes there because you still have Michael Thomas, who hadn't played all year. And now you got these guys out in Vegas. A guy right here on the network, and Eric White mentioned that it was kind of a bad idea of moving teams to Vegas because you got more opportunities to get in trouble. Granted, you could do that anywhere, especially right here in Florida. Having the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out here, and you're hearing about all these guys getting in trouble, and that Mike Williams wide receiver we had here with the party and somebody getting stabbed at one of his house parties. You have a lot of opportunities to do bad things out in Vegas. And the fact that the incident actually happened before the Pro Bowl game and he was arrested after the game. Him and his buddies were in the elevator. They did not want this individual to come on the elevator. Alvin Kamera just proceeded to put his hands on the guy to stop him to leave the elevator. The guy smacked his hand off him, and pretty much a fight ensued after that. It's not self-defense, ladies and gentlemen. I think everybody pretty much would have done the same thing as this other gentleman would have done. If somebody puts their hands on your chest and they're pushing you away to do that, to smack his hand off. That doesn't mean you're in a life or death situation. Not even close. I know everybody likes to play that card, self-defense, feel for your life stuff. It gets out of hand to me, and that clearly is not one of those situations. Granted, I'm happy nobody was shot or stabbed in this situation. It was just a physical altercation with fists and legs. As they said in reports, they looked at tattoos and found out where Alvin Kamera had tattoos at and matched it up on the video of these individuals. So Alvin Kamera likes to wear hoodies and things when he's out. And it was a little bit cold in Las Vegas. But it's 100% confirmed that Alvin Kamera was a part of this scuffle in the elevator. Sad to see that it's coming off a Pro Bowl season. Sad to see it's coming in the turmoils of all the animosity and adversity. There's some animosity going on and adversity that they're having out there in New Orleans. Now you have to add in addition to what's going on now with him in this case. So do you think the Saints should move on from New Orleans, from Alvin Kamara, and try to build draft collateral, or maybe use Alvin to get a quarterback to fill this quarterback position that they got here? Because I don't believe they believe in Taysom Hill. And Drew Brees retired. Jameis Winston's a free agent, and Jameis Winston technically wanted to play under Drew Brees and Sean Payton. So that whole situation is going to be very, very key and very imperative to keep an eye on what's going on these next couple weeks or so, especially with the season coming to an end right here next week in Los Angeles, where the Bengals and Rams are set to face off. So keep your eyes tuned right here on the network. We add all the new stuff all the time, not just football. We got NASCAR coming out. I'll be doing some football, basketball stuff, some college football scouting and things like that. So make sure you keep an eye out for all the things that we got going on right here in New Orleans. Not New Orleans, but right here on NSPN. There's a lot going on in New Orleans from the top on down with issues. I'm going to make sure to check that text message. If it's something interested, make sure to follow me at Blake Anthony 49 right on Twitter or IG, or look for us right here on NSPN or any of the social media platforms. I'll answer you if you hit me back. Also, to make sure to check out Tom Brady's 22 years of service giveaway. Go to Tom Brady's website, TB12 Foundation. Donate $22 or more. And there's multiple entries are taken. If you want to put 44, 66, or whatever it is, that's an entry for every $22 you enter in. It goes to a good cause that Tom Brady supports. And I will be giving away a red XL Tom Brady jersey to one of you lucky fans or supporters out there that donate to that cause. That's all I got for today. And check me out for more issues that are coming on in all season. We'll have these small conversations about it. And we'll end this as we always do. You're the master of everything. What you do with your life, what you do with it is entirely up to you. Thank you guys, and God bless. And as always, fire those cannons. Boom.
You having a huge party?
Nope. Just me.
Get delicious cuisine from the country's best chefs delivered right to your door with